This is real footage of America's best special operations unit engaging moving vehicles from a helicopter, and this barely scratches the surface of the insane footage we will be looking at throughout this video today. The US government spends over $100 million per year on their infamous death squad, and that price tag isn't even including weapons or equipment. That's just how much they spend on training alone. But the question is, are these elite operators really worth all that money? Well, the Taliban certainly thought so. In fact, as you'll see later on in this video, the Taliban were so terrified of these men, they would literally run away as fast as they could as soon as they saw them coming. America's Tier 1 Special Operations Unit Naval Special Warfare Development Group, or more commonly known as SEAL Team 6, is divided into 4 different assault squadrons, codenamed Red, Blue, Gold, and Silver Squadron. And while there isn't much difference between the assault squadrons as far as capability goes, each squadron has its own culture and personality. In this video, we'll be taking a deep dive into an incredibly violent operation completed by Red Squadron, whose culture and personality is mostly built around killing people with tomahawks. Back in the summer of 2009, Red Squadron from Naval Special Warfare Development Group was tasked with an extremely dangerous mission to assault a large Taliban compound located 8,000 feet up in the central Afghanistan mountains, about 2 hours south of Kabul. The team of DevGru operators arrived on target via helicopters late that night under the cover of darkness. Their plan was to land the choppers right outside the compound and hit the target fast and hard, eliminating all hostile fighters before they knew what happened. But as they approached the compound, their aerial drone overhead spotted 8 hostile fighters take off running out of the side of the compound, attempting to flee for their lives. Unfortunately for the enemy, they couldn't see the IR laser coming down from the drone overhead, tracking their every move. IR light can only be seen through night vision devices, which the enemy didn't have, so they couldn't see the laser at all. But for the elite operators hunting them, it looked like God himself was shining a spotlight on these dudes from the heavens. As soon as the helicopters landed, Special Warfare Operator Matt Bissonette and a handful of other operators split off from the main assault force to pursue the fighters who were fleeing from the compound. The team was quickly able to get eyes on the 8 hostile fighters thanks to the IR laser tracking them from above. The enemy was heading straight for a ridge line about 300 meters north of the compound. Once they got on the other side of the ridge, the operators would lose line of sight of the enemy. But instead of continuing to run away, once the enemy reached the ridgeline, they turned around and set up a firing position to fight off the DevGru operators pursuing them. But Bissonette quickly responded by shouldering his rifle and engaging the enemy. He struggled to steady his aim after sprinting after them in full kit, not to mention the whole team was still getting used to the high elevation of the Afghan mountains. But regardless, he was able to lock it in on a fighter with a PKM machine gun and squeeze off multiple rounds, dropping him instantly. Bissonette's teammates then opened fire, dropping 2 more fighters before the rest took off running down the backside of the ridge. Unfortunately for the enemy, once again, the drone overhead continued to track them with its IR laser, making it all too easy for the operators to follow. The team quickly sprinted to the ridgeline where they were able to spot the enemy fighters racing down the hill. One of the DevGru operators noticed an RPG laying on the ground next to the bodies. So he quickly grabbed it and fired a rocket at the enemy fighters sprinting down the hill. The rocket hit right next to them, peppering them with shrapnel, but the enemy kept running away despite their wounds, which meant the operators would have to continue their pursuit down the hill. But just as they were about to make their way down, they heard radio chatter about a CAS coming on station, which meant an AC-130 gunship had just arrived overhead to provide close air support. So the team sat tight on the ridgeline and watched the AC-130's 20mm cannon pound the enemy fighters. When the gunship finished its run, the operators made their way down the ridge with their combat assault dog nicknamed hair missile and began searching the area to make sure no hostile fighters had survived. The AC-130 spotted one hostile fighter as he ran into a nearby building and multiple unknown heat signatures in a nearby field. So the team split off with 2 operators going after the fighter in the building, while Bissonnette and the rest of the team started to clear the field. The grass in the field was waist high, so it would have been the perfect hiding place for the enemy if the operators didn't have their assault dog. The K9 very quickly caught the scent of an enemy fighter and took off through the grass. After a few seconds of silence, the team could hear an enemy fighter screaming and begging for mercy. So they called the dog back and threw a couple hand grenades in the direction of the screams. After the explosions, a handful of operators went to check to be sure the grenades did the job, while Bissonnette continued clearing the field. When suddenly, he stepped on what he thought was a log, but then the log gasped for air when he put pressure on it. So he jumped back and opened fire on the enemy fighter, but after investigating the body, he could see that the fighter had been killed by the 20mm cannon, and the pressure from his foot must have just forced the air out of his lungs. But that guy was the last fighter the team needed to confirm had been killed. So they quickly wrapped everything up there and rejoined the main assault force at the primary compound. But by the time they got there, the main assault force had accomplished their mission, and it was time to wrap everything up and head back home. Bissonnette and the team eliminated more than 10 hostile fighters and suffered 0 casualties, without ever even stepping foot in the actual target building. The mission was a huge success. The main assault element cleared the target building of all hostile fighters and recovered valuable intel without suffering any casualties. But what if I told you there was a military unit out there even better than Development Group that very few people know anything about? If that's something of interest to you, then you should check out this video right here. And if you want to see all the extra footage that was too graphic for me to show on YouTube, I'll have it all available over on my Patreon, linked down in the description of this video. And with that, guys, that's going to be the end of the video today. Thank you so much for checking the video out. Most of the info for this story is coming from the book No Easy Day, written by Matt Bissonnette under the pen name Mark Owen. I'll have a link for you guys to buy this book down in the description below, and I highly recommend it. It's a fantastic read full of stories just like this one. But thank you guys so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this. But if for any reason at all you did not enjoy this video, feel free to hit that dislike button and be sure to leave me a comment down below letting me know what I can do to improve my future videos. Any and all feedback is greatly appreciated here. But thank you guys again for checking out the video. I hope y'all have a fantastic day, and I will see you guys in the next